Next up, we got the bumper flipped over. I'm gonna come in here, let's get these fog lamps out. This side has a cover on it, and that'll just be taken off by that clip, that white clip you see up top there. So get that off and get both of these out. It's pretty straightforward. Just pull them out. Moving right along, we have the upper grill assembly that we need to take apart. So there's 4 screws in this bracket, and then there's 3 screws on each side of this outside. So let me get those pulled apart, and we'll get this top section out of here. Just a word to the wise, if this is your first time doing this like it is mine, there's tabs here that, let me get this turned around. So these tabs stick up and they lock into place here. So if you get the directions from Toyota, it tells you to just pull it straight out. Well, all I did was just kind of get in there really lightly with a flat tip and just pull it back a little bit so that I can manipulate the plastic. I didn't start prying on it to break it, but with just a little bit of care, I was able to get this whole thing out. So now I gotta disassemble this and get the other one ready to go. All right, I got the roof rails off the truck, and there's really no magic way to do it. All I will say, there's instructional videos out there on how to get them off. Really, it's the plastic cover goes on top, and you can see where I'm pointing. There's these plastic indents that plastic tabs fit into this. So what you want to do is take a trim tool and approximate where those are, and push in, kind of pry it outward to get those up and over. You use a cloth, microfiber, or a towel, so you're not prying against the paint, but you just want to be careful with it, be patient. You know, you don't want to break those tabs, you don't want to scratch your paint. But now that they're off, what I need to do is sand them down like I'm going to do the valances. Additionally, there's these screws here that are going to hold the tie downs in there. They're like a Torx bit or an E bit. So I'm going to take these tie downs off and then figure out how I'm going to get these sprayed. But for the most part, the rails are pretty simple. Last little thing that I need to do is I need to get this rear bumper out of here so that I can get to that valance. Get that off, and then that will be good. But really, I'm going to get these apart, and then I'll just have to get into sanding and get the paint ready to go. Alright, you can see I've got the paint booth set up practically. I skipped a lot of steps, but it's pretty straightforward on how you get the rear bumper off. There's plenty of videos out there. Got the valance off. We took the clear coat down to 320 grit, so it'll be ready for the mechanical side of the epoxy primer. And then once that flashes off, we'll finish with the hot rod black. So really excited to get this stuff going. I don't have the greatest setup for these roof rails, but I'm going to get a roof rack at some point regardless. So this is kind of just put lipstick on the pig, but I will show these when they're done spraying. Really won't go through too much of painting these. If you need some footage of paint, make sure to check out the Bronco side of the house where we went through and showed everything with paint. So yeah, stand by, I'll get these coated and we'll take a look once it's all said and done. Alright, so it was super hot yesterday afternoon, super hot right now. So I decided I was going to paint this overnight into the morning, early morning hours. So I got out here early this morning, put down 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of hot rod black, and really liking what I'm seeing. So this stuff is really easy to shoot. If you don't want to paint it, you can get it vinyl wrapped. You can do plasti dip. You can do whatever you want. And they even buy the new valances. The valances, I believe, are a black plastic as is. It's embedded. But I went the route of painting, and if you do, this stuff works great. It's their hot rod black. If not, there's videos out there of guys who are doing it where either a paint shop made it for them or they found it somewhere where it's a 2-stage rattle can. which I'd highly recommend. You buy 3 or 4 cans of that and coat this stuff up. But I just didn't think of that by the time I already bought this paint. So overall, excited, but got to get it back on the truck, see how it really looks. So let's start getting stuff back together now. Alright, as you can see, we have the front bumper on the stand, and I have the valances on the table here. So while I have the bumper right side up, I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to get these fog lamps in so that I can work on everything up top. So here's the fog lamps. Let me turn this over, and then I'll go over a brief rundown of the install. Alright, the fog lamps are in. Really only 2 things to note. This receptacle, you just have to pop the plastic piece on there, and there's locking tangs that go, you'll see they have to go a certain way, and then those tangs engage in tabs, and that should allow this to stay in place. The fog lamps themselves, they say right hand and left hand on them, so think of it as if you're in the driver's seat, and they just retain the same 2 screws that the factories used, and then the tabs stick in here. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, is get the receptacle hooked up, and really you just have to make sure whenever you hook it up to the truck that you know which one's hot and which one's ground. That way you don't flip these. So take a multimeter, ground it, turn the lights on, and then prong to see which one's going to give you that hot. And that's it for the fog lamps. So I'm going to get the grill and garnish ready to go next, and get that back together up top here. Alright, so I have a couple things going on here. I need to get the new upper grill piece together with the actual exterior, what I would want to call a grill shroud, but it's just the top valance that goes on this, that's the color of the paint. But I have my Raptor lights already installed with a LED kit that I got from Yoda LEDs, and they look excellent. The only thing that's I'm just a little weary about is they are zip tied on there, I guess. No really great way to fasten them, so they recommend you zip tie them. So we're gonna do it, and I'm sure they'll look great. It's just new for me to do it that way. And let me get these. There's 4 screws that hold this piece that I'm talking about here to the top of the grill. So I get this together, and then 6 all together that hold it to the top of the bumper itself. So I'm not gonna go through the steps here of turning the screws, but I'll just show you what the installation looks like afterwards, so sit tight. Alright, the upper grill is together. Really, it's just a matter of, like I said, there's 6 bolts along the side, and then there's 4 right here for this bracket that just snaps in along these tabs here. So it's pretty intuitive. The only thing that I will say with this new upper grill, there was a section, where did it go? Right up in here, there's that piece of plastic. It has to go over top instead of inside. So just make sure that that's inside or over top of it, and it'll fit right on there and snap together. So let me flip this over and get the garnishes ready. Alright, it is flipped over. Those fog lamps look super sick. So do those grill lights. I'm so excited to get it back together. I'm gonna wipe this stuff down here real quick, and yeah, I'll wipe this off first, install the lower valance, and I'll do the garnish last. So let me get this wiped up and get that installed. Alright, valance installed, garnish is next. So what I need to do is I'm going to wipe this off, I'm going to hit it with alcohol, and then I'm going to follow the directions that came with the part, it talks about taking the adhesive backing off except for 2 strips, and it wants you to pull these strips simultaneously whenever it's married to that front, when it's married to the front bumper here. This last step here, it's telling you to push in, and then you're pulling out, and it tells you to affix with X amount of force. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first get it back on the car, and I'll push whenever it's on the vehicle, but just wanted to say that as an aside. That's how it really wants you to do it. So let me set up time lapse. I'll get this bumper mounted, and then we'll go from there.